Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. I'm Marie Poulin, and I'm here with Francesco of the Keep Productive channel. I'm so excited, Francesco. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Marie. I'm excited.
So
It's gonna be
good.
good
I
fun.
think I think a lot of folks here probably know who you are. Maybe people came in
Yeah,
through your channel. A lot of first timers here, which is pretty cool. A few every weekers.
yeah, lots of different countries. I can see someone's from the UK, so that's two
One
of us.
person.
Yeah,
Czech Republic, Germany. Yeah, I guess it's a bit late in the UK right now, but Vancouver, very cool. Yes, I see a lot of familiar faces. Awesome. So Francesco, he's not only a Notioneer, although he is huge on Notion. I know you use a lot of other tools and you frequently, discuss kind of the best ways to keep productive, obviously.
yeah,
And so I'm really excited just to see kind of how your space has evolved maybe over the last, you've been using Notion for a couple of years, I think. So I'm
yeah.
excited to see how it's changed and evolved and maybe some of your, favorite parts of it and your content production schedule. I think that's what you're going to focus on today, right? Is kind of how you produce content.
Yeah, sure. So I'd say I've been using Notion for about 2.5, coming up to 3 years now in July. And it was really just over a coffee. Someone mentioned it, and then I was like, I'll go home and check that out, like I do with with most tools that get brought up. That's sort of the job of Keep Productive. And then it just spiraled from there. I started using it for small things, mainly like organizing checklists, and then it just grew from there. And I think what I'll show today is that I have like these 3 monthly audits that are quite important for me, where I just sort of like keep spring cleaning the way that I'm using
Mm,
Notion so that it kills any dead use of it and sort of brings in any sort of more relevant use.
very cool.
Um, and then I'll sort of tour around my account and also, of course, share that content calendar, which can be applied for a lot of businesses, I think. And I think with the sort of ever changing landscape of content online, um, it can help you sort of keep nimble enough and, well, hopefully sort of relevant. And that's something that on Keep Productive we have to always try and sort of keep ahead of what the new app is, but whilst not introducing too many. Just
Yeah, I
pick
was
them
going
out.
to ask you about that too, because I mean, you're obviously exploring so many different tools all the time. And just when you're kind of getting used to something, do you feel the need to switch up your systems? How has Notion maybe stayed in your space and how, like, in what ways,
Yeah.
I guess, are you consistently using it? In which ways are you like, actually, that's not the best tool. I'm kind of still using these ones over here.
Yeah, it's a good question because like I get to accidentally see like hundreds across a week. Like the exposure's a bit too much.
Yeah.
Um, but I've stayed with the same tools for donkeys. In like my my task manager is the same as of 7 years ago. My like I still use Evernote on the side and Notion for as long as it's been. So I try and pick a tool for as long as I can. And normally I'd say a tool window is between 2 to 3 years because life tends to
Hmm.
change in that sort of window. Um, but I always recommend the more years you can add, the better. And for me, like I don't see myself moving from Notion probably for at least 4 years.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah.
getting, the use of it's getting more sort of deeper, but at the same time, I'm keeping sort of it very relevant to work and life. So yeah, it's
Very
good.
cool. Very cool. Well, should we dive in and check out your setup?
Yeah. So can you see it up in here, right?
There we go. Everyone
Lovely
see?
jubbly.
Okay.
Brilliant. So I think I had a bit of an overhaul maybe like a month ago. So as I said, I had these 3 monthly audits, and the main reason behind there, as I said, is to just pick experiences that I don't um, tend to like use every single day, and sort of cull them. So for example, I used to have I tried utilizing a habit tracker that I built inside of Notion for maybe 2 months, and I realized I really wasn't using it as to the capacity I should be using it. So I decided to to move and not use that anymore. But then at the same time, other uses crop up as I
Yeah.
do this. So yeah, I'll take you around this sort of all 5 sort of pillars that I've got here. The things that I'd say is it's nowhere near as fantastic as yours, Marie, because yours is like well thought through. Mine's more like blah, like, but at the same time, I find it really useful.
I think that's what's
So
most essential, right? Is like sometimes simpler is better. And I think, all of our brains work very differently. And so I don't think everybody needs the most complex setup, whatever is going to get you using it, right?
that's it. Yeah. Well, but the thing is, then I look at yours and I'm like, oh, should sit down for a couple of hours and do that. So I have sort of 5 areas. 4 really are active. One's called life, just personal life. One's called baby because that's going to soon be a big part of the day. Finance is obviously pretty important, and then work, which is a little bit keep productive. But I'll mention the other workspace I have for that. I also have an inbox as well, which I've recently started to use. So that sort of makes the 5 pillars. So life is not really anything too special. It's so I have this area called daily, and this is one that I'm only recently experimenting on, and it's really like a template tool. It's a list database that whenever I obviously create a daily template, I think it's similar to yours, but nowhere near as advanced. But when I open up, I can see obviously my morning routine, a few items to get through, the focus task for the day, and also the event today and what to review and what fitness has been done. So it's really not anything special, but it's almost like something I'll start to use as a sort of daily entry and sort of way to focus in on the day if I'm having any struggles of what to do for the day.
And can I ask, in terms of your daily
Yeah.
workflow, when you is this something that you would make when you first, wake up in the morning? Do you kind of hit your new daily, and does that become like favorited, or do you pin it kind of as you're working through the day, or what's your
Yeah,
workflow look like?
that's a good question. So I would when I haven't actually fully started using this, and this is sort of one of my experimental ones at the moment. So I normally give myself 30 days, but at the moment I would use this in the morning. I'd open it and probably complete the majority of these 3. So the morning routine, the focus tasks, and the event today. And it's more of so what I do in my morning routine is go downstairs, do my journal, but I'll come up and only recently do like a bit of a course, like a lesson of a course. And that's when I open my PC and I'm like able to like actually look at this window and sort of move into it. So yeah, that one's still yet to be activated, but it's one that I only set up recently. So it'll be fun when I get my teeth stuck into that one. There's a fitness and health one. I've had struggles using Notion for fitness and health, and it's mainly because I'm not that goal orientated with my fitness and health. So there's been many different versions of it, but the one way I've been using it for sure is 2 years worth of playing of badminton.
Wow.
We've had our sort of score sheet on here. Also, we play Monopoly Deal, but
I love it.
we log all the games. And as you can see, I'm not the greatest. The other chap I play with, Dan, is definitely much better than me. But so I'm hoping this area becomes more of a sort of base for sort of building diet and fitness. The area I've been using quite a lot is house. We moved in about 9 months ago now, and as you can see, like I'll need to know like what the renewals are for different things. So insurances and subscriptions we've got, warranties. That's always fun. All the stuff
Yeah.
that comes with the house, and what sort of coverage it is. Snagging lists, so that any issues are fixed by the builders. Mortgage, and all that fun stuff, like how I can decrease it over time and all the amazing stuff that about mortgages. And there's this weird one, and this might be a bit strange for people. I sometimes, if there's like suspicious activity on the local area, I'll note it down. So I'll put what it was, and if it was anything to be worried about, so that if anything did happen, then I'm sort of can tell the policeman. I've also got sort of lists for handyman jobs down here, but it's not too much in terms of, it's not too busy, if you know what I mean. So you're probably seeing this at a point where I've just done a sort of clean out, so it's not that fill up, if you know what I mean. So I've got one final area called scenarios. And what I've been doing recently is like maybe like probably about 2 months. Like, for example, I'll know that I might be getting a tax rebate. So it's a scenario that might be coming up. So I've been basically just started listing some of the scenarios. So if I got a tax rebate, what can I be putting it towards? Like the baby fund, a bit of mortgage, etc. And, all the sort of fun stuff, like what would we need to do if, the UK decides to call it a day and lock us all up? And also, recession as well. Like, what's the best sort of tactics? So that's a weird one I've been using.
But very relevant, right?
Yeah, very. The main reason I've been using it is just because sometimes like there's a bit of anxiety around something, and if there is like a bit of anxiety, like I'll start doing that with like if I want to learn something for the baby, then I'll probably make a scenario for it, and then I'll add all my notes in so that I don't like worry too much about it, and it's sort of out of my head, and there's some form of process to it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
No, it's like that's what you can control, is like the research and just kind of calming your mind in a way of like, here's the things I can control. Some of it's going to be outside your control, but just being informed, right? I think it's very smart.
It. Yeah. So that's sort of that. But yeah.
Anxiety management.
Yeah. So obviously we've got the baby coming up. So I've dedicated an area for the baby. What I've done is I've broken it into two parts. I've called this one the organizer, and I'm still yet to build a full version of it. But this is essentially going to be like just checklists for when. So for example, like this one has house clean, right? So the idea behind it is I'm trying to make checklists so that when Becca is asleep with the baby, that I'm going and doing as much stuff as possible and making it easier. So I'm going to be filling this up with like things to do around the house and just, all that sort of fun stuff that will come along with it. So that's like something I'm working on. I'm actually going to try and create not something as advanced as your stuff, but something as much as I can for new dads, hopefully, for organizing. And then also there's sort of information, and these are more static. So we've got an inventory of everything we've bought for the baby, and what size they are. So so we know like, right, we have enough 1 to 3 month clothes, and we're sort of all ready for that.
Oh, geez, you could be selling like a baby prep template, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to do it. Obviously not sell it, but I'll put together a template for baby prep. When I know I'm good at it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have wages as well. So, what everyone, our family members think the weight and the date and the gender.
That's hilarious.
So it's like, it's one of those things where I think I mentioned it on Twitter. It was like my wife started doing it in Apple Notes, and I just went, "We could do this in a Notion database," and then people started texting me, and I started adding it, and like it. I automatically just go, there's a database for that, you know. It can.
If only Notion had the form feature, right? And people could fill out their fill out the
That would
gender
be
and the
even
date.
I'm not sure I would get away with it more, but let's see. There's also like finance. So I've broken this down into a few areas. So accounts is like just a snapshot of all the finances and all the different accounts we have, just for like just seeing an overview of everything. So this could help somebody that just wants to update this every single month,
Right.
and also see like, you know, what each account is for, so that you can keep organized. Tax has been really important. So here I have like the tax and when I paid it, also the dates and also tax meeting, what questions I asked. So they're all the notes that come along with it. And I can see all of my tax for like the previous years. So, you know, nothing too mental. Also like pensions as well. So like, you know, I've only just started pension, things like that, but you know, that's helpful for retirement. And then this is one that me and my wife spend a lot of time in, is upcoming expenses. So what we do here is whenever an upcoming expense comes up, we type it into here, we type the price, we put the payday for it, and also whether it's been paid or not. And as soon as anything's been paid, it just goes into the filtered area, obviously just using like a simple sort of is paid. And then that helps to see anything we've got coming up. And that can be anything from wedding presents to stuff for the baby. And then what I have here is any subscriptions I have for work, so that I can see any recurring or dates that I need to check them out on. And then we also redo this one every couple of months. It's just all the expenses for the house that we have, and obviously our lives, so that we can see this 6-month cost figure. So we essentially just get the month cost. The formula will edit formula. We'll then get the month cost for that, and then also get the year cost and the 6 months cost, so that we try and aim to have our emergency savings for. I feel like we should have called this episode like prepping or something like that.
Yeah. Good call.
And then down here we've got like liabilities, you know, from student loan to the mortgage and things like that. So we'll sit down inside of this one and update it every 15 days. And surprisingly, normally my wife's not the most interested when I say anything about databases, you know,
or Notion. She's like, enough.
Yeah. Right. But she actually, out of all the apps, I feel she's much more relaxed with this one. And I have a feeling it's because of the emojis, but
it's a big part of it.
that.
Yeah.
And then work one. So work is just a guide. So anytime I think of a guide that I have, could be like the income streams we've got. I've got the time off for parental leave, just anything that is a short note to myself. I'll just put it in guides area. It's really nothing too special. And then there's short-term and long-term planning for sort of just general projects. It's really just a list. I used to have boards, but it wasn't as I didn't find it as effective.
If you're not using it, right?
Yeah, but again, I think whenever you find a feature, it's like if you don't, if you know you don't are using it to the max, then I think it should either be downsized or reviewed. Either one. Don't know.
And I'm curious too, like, you know, related, how much do these different areas change? You said you went through a big change kind of in the last month. So do you find like you just kind of update these one at a time every now and then? Are you like, I need to like change up everything? Like how often are you tinkering with this?
Yeah, it's normally about between every 3 months. I don't have I don't set specific dates. It's almost when I know that. So for example, I've had cycles where I've been at that 3-month review point and then gone, actually, there is nothing wrong. Maybe they just need a new emojis, or some new pictures. And I'll update that. But aside from that, if it's working,
it ain't broke.
it ain't broke. That's it. Yeah, I was trying to think of the phrase, but yeah, I think anything. There's some benefit to obviously fixing things when you see them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you knew that you're having a problem with your goal tracking, potentially fix it then. But the way that I do it is I tend to batch fix and sort of list out the issues that I have. But it's really dependent on the person, I think.
Absolutely.
Because you can get carried away on an afternoon.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've done it too. And then the inbox is really for like week reviews these days. So it's just like literally listing out like a bunch of stuff that I've been thinking about during the week. Don't know why I was thinking about tuna pasta bake, but must have been useful. And then I just turn them all into the to-do lists, and then I just tick them off when I've done them. But
nice.
That's only a really recent thing. So yeah, that's the majority of my well, actually that's the whole of it, of my sort of workspace. And I think this new version at least is a lot more relaxed. Obviously I'll add to it and it will build, but I think it's something I open like midday and I just get all the stuff I need into it. And it's really, really valuable.
Awesome. I just want to open it up too. If anyone has any questions about anything that Francesco has shown so far, or anything, definitely use the ask a question area below, and we'll do our best to keep on top of that.
Oh yeah, Maria put you can embed a type form. Not sure about Google form. Yeah, I mean, I think she's about to give birth in a month, so yeah, it's a bit too late. But
it's a bit too late for that. But
yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So yeah, so you can see like on the left, like I've got another area called Keep Productive. It's only on the enterprise plan because I'm doing a review on the enterprise plan, but normally it's just on the team plan. But the Keep Productive area is really for the majority of. So I work with Alice. She is our blog editor and she's fantastic. And we work on this area together. So we mainly work on this one, the blog calendar. So as you can see, it has all sorts of articles to get done. So it works as very simply. It's just a table database with anything that is scheduled gets removed. And it's got sort of 3 states: draft, to check, and schedule. So I will, every time a new piece I want to brief Alice on, I will open this up and write tons to her, and she'll make it into the masterpiece that it is.
I need one of those. I need an Alice.
Yeah, she's rather brilliant. It's good to have an Alice on anyone's team. And then, I mean, apart from that, I use these occasionally. So this is like branding. So the useful links for branding, any workshops we do. But so what we have is sponsorships. So obviously on Keep Productive, we have a monthly sponsor. So as you can see, these are obviously like what platform, what's been proposed. But what I do here is I connect them to the content calendar, which I'll show you in a moment. So I can connect any of the sponsors' features to each of the videos that I'll go and produce. So that helps me when it comes to scripting, but it also helped me when I go into the content calendar. So this is the content calendar. So there's a couple of views to it. And as I say, it's probably the most advanced thing I have. So as you can see that like they're that same box, they're the sponsors for next month. So they're attached as a relational database, which helps to see. So I can just see sponsor there, and that's just really helpful. So the reason why I like to see it in the calendar view like this is, so this is called the live view. This is like what I'm actually gonna post. And what I'll tend to do is, this may seem a little bit strange, but again, it shows the flexibility of Notion. Is, for example, I tend to do my videos or content as I see what the community wants to see. So I try not to be too strict about what I do. So all of these are all provisionally preset. But if I wanted to say, I feel that next week needs a reshuffle around, so what I'll do is I'll just drag these all onto like, actually that one's done, all onto like next Sunday. And then I'll be like, actually, I'll move this one onto here because that one's a bit more priority now. And I can move this one onto here, just for an example. And I'll go, actually, this one looks great there. That could do very well there. I'll do that one on Friday, and then I move these two to these days. So that is really, really beneficial if you're trying to like gauge what your community is sort of thinking and wants to see. I know that this video particularly is very popular because I know people want to see it. So I'll make sure to prioritize that, and it also gives me time to like visually plan. Like for example, if I move these two to here, it's got 3 days for people to get excited about it, or 2 days for people to get excited about it. So I think I just really like the way that the calendar structure helps. It's really nothing too special, but I just love using this this view. So I have a couple of filters on this one. The main reason is just to show YouTube in the live view. So I just make sure it doesn't contain other formats of the content that I do. So, for example, if I click into here, each video gets a content type. So, like naturally, course, whether it's a course podcast, medium, documentary, or something that I have to do with Steve, or an idea. And then everything gets a status, and everything gets a release date. And then there's a posted, so that if anything is posted, it disappears. But then it gives me a chance down here to just script the video. And I just really like having simple bullet points. And now the Notion iOS app is a lot faster than it was. I can just pop my phone open and see my script ready.
And so can I ask, with your course content in there, so that's again content for your own course, you actually have that in the same place that you have your marketing and other video material?
Yeah.
Cool.
So everything's, so I'm still I'm looking to make this into a template for everyone, hoping that it helps people. And I have different types of views, and I've been experimenting. I didn't want to clean up before this video because I wanted to show people what it could, a sort of messy Notion looks like. So I've got a planning view here. So planning view, as you can see, it looks very similar, but what I did here is I went and made sure that I turned off all of these property types, so that it is a nice thin card. And what I can see here is that what I couldn't see on the other one is all of the video ideas that I have separately that aren't officially videos. So what I'll do is, if I have a planning session and I go, actually, I could maybe get the 3 apps to conquer your health, and I can click in, and the status of this one is called banked. So if I say remove that status and chose script, and I went back over to the live view, it should, there we go, appear here. So that's just so simple. Like the status does not contain banked, so that I have my live view, and then I have an even more of a planning view. So the live view is more me just moving stuff around to see how things feel, but the planning view is where I have all of the ideas that the community recommend. basically a dumping ground, but a chance for me to like actually plan and sort of coordinate it.
Love it.
So I have some courses here as well. So this is where I normally plan my courses. I haven't done one in a while, but normally if I'm like, say, here's one of them woven on Skillshare, it's titled a content type as a course, and there's the sort of general script that I'll follow. So just all behind toggles. And that's just, content type contains course. And then I'll have that for pretty much everything else, like webinars when I'm looking to plan them. And also there's one here that anything over 45 minutes is meant to be here. So this is what I mean by messy. I used to have a property type called time, but because I do so many shorter condensed videos now, I used to have one called time, and it says I think I had it as is over a certain period or value, and I think I had 45 minutes as one. So that helped me to thin down the 45-minute ones to do. I also have like medium, but the medium one is just medium articles when I need to post them. It looks like I'm a little bit behind. And then there's only two other ones that are probably useful. The FD videos that I need to do, these are just for my channel, and any Instagram posts that I'll be trying to make, and that's in a board view, so that I can, script and film them or prepare them. So yeah, it's not really anything crazy, but at the same time, I really just like the way that it, I can move this about and I can make it look the way I want it to.
So effective. Yeah, it's
ready for the and there's not really too much workflow here, because you see, like, say past the 25th of April, I don't really have anything planned, and that's really the aim of it, is because I always with the channel need to be on top of the news, but also on top of the most relevant softwares, review what the community wants, and making sure I have the next 14 to 28 days planned really just helps me to keep on top of what's relevant, and it helps the channel keep relevant, hopefully, as much as it can. So yeah, it's that's a sort of the majority where I spend my time these days.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's very, like, it's already inspiring ideas in my own space, of course, especially with like course content, for example, actually doing that in the same place as my like content hub and not just in my projects. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I think there's probably a little bit like query about the way that I go about doing these, the views. So obviously, if you press add view, you can change the board view for it. So if I were to actually go, all right, I'm going to start planning in a board in a Kanban style, press the board, obviously create. But naturally, it is pretty overwhelmed, because it will literally bring up everything that I've ever done. So I probably need to add some filters, and I probably add, what's been not posted so far, just so it thins that down. And maybe content type contains video, and that will slim it down even further. And then I could potentially say, okay, which ones have a post date 1 week from now, so that I could potentially start planning ahead, and it only looks like this one's the one to do. So that's how you can, make it even sort of more fine-tuned. But again, once I get time to create the template, what I'll probably do is I'll make it a lot easier for people to sort of grasp and take home for themselves.
You could even record a little how-to video in your template at the top, right?
Of course, yeah.
And Maria said, I'd love to see Francesco's creative process for video production. Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah. It's really not. The planning of the videos I spend a lot of time on, and I think for content creators, it's a good time to use Notion because it is that flexible nature. But my actual process of filming videos is actually super duper simple because I keep things fairly minimal so that I don't have to get out big rigs or anything like that. But that's also probably why the videos aren't, Thomas Frank standard.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, they're great videos.
Yeah,
God.
no, for sure. Yeah, similarly, Toran asked, how does Francesco use Notion to plan each piece of content, be it video or article?
Yeah, that's Torrin. It's good to see you again. I feel like Torrin attends every Notion, which
He's a
is
super
great.
fan. Thank you.
Yeah, a legend. And yeah, we're planning content. So yeah, I mean, I have been dabbling with. So I've got a device at the moment called the Remarkable, which I'm reviewing and also like doing stuff. So what I'll do is I'll start by having an offline creative process. There's nothing against Notion there. It's more so that I get the ball rolling. And I'll either grab a bit of paper or that. I'll write down all of my ideas for the month based on the community and all that. And then I'll sort of basically just go into Notion and start pressing the add item tab and just fill up, like, say, a Sunday. And I'll normally do that inside of here. So I think I did this one, say, last week. And obviously, for example, this is probably a good use case. I did this one last week, just literally dumped what I think everyone would want to see combined with what they actually said they want to see. But let's say this one, like best courses, like for productivity, that's clearly something that a lot of people, if they've got extra time at the moment or at home, probably want to do.
Now's the time.
So I might be like the best 10 courses to try, or call this one productivity courses. And then I'll just go ahead and plan it. And it's really that simple. And you reminded me because I actually probably need to do it like next week, let's see, and then script it. And then I'll move everything to each stage. So it's not really rocket science per se, but you'll just see dumps here every week because I'll just keep doing it. And the ones that don't make the cut, delete. Just simple. Or I started doing like an ideas area where I just start dumping a few there. And anything I add below here, don't know why it's not adding one, but anything I add below here, okay, it doesn't seem to like it. Maybe I locked it or something.
Like a filter sometimes.
Yeah, maybe it's
Weird.
Yeah, strange. There we go. So anything I add to idea, I can just start writing down here. So I'll just like literally just pop them all below there. So that's if any ideas come up. So yeah, I really enjoy using it. Spend most of my day in it these days. So yeah, it's great to have a place like that.
Another question popped in from Ronan. Do you use the Eisenhower matrix?
No, but I hear there's like a data. Someone's created that inside of Notion, right?
Yeah, Ronan, if you want, I don't know if you want to reach out to me on Twitter at Marie Poulin, but I actually do have a simple version of that database where it spits out a little message if you've chosen one of 4 statuses, and then it kind of shoots you a little message, and it's kind of based on like effort and impact. So I can definitely share that little snippet with you if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe we'll add it to the show notes as well. We can, because I know, Francesco, I think you said there were a few things you wanted to clean up before you wanted to share the templates, but we can kind of follow up with everyone who showed up. If anyone wants access to your templates, we can share those.
Yeah. I'll definitely make them available because yeah, I think it will help a lot of people. And I'll try and make it general as well, so that people can use it for, whether they've started blogging at work or they've got a side project, they're
Yeah.
interested in starting to blog. But yeah, it definitely helps me just to get on with the actual the process of doing it. Um, think I saw a question up here.
Someone, what's the quickest way to add reminders when doing an at?
Sorry, down mine's. I'm not sure.
I think you can actually say at remind. Can't you just say at remind, and then you can choose the date? Or again, you could, if you have a date property, of course, you can always add your reminder there.
Yeah, I think it depends what you want to connect to it, right? Like if you want to do today, it's that, right, like that, right? But yeah, you can add pages and also people as well. So if you wanted, for example, to add a note for Alice, then she'd be able to see all of that together.
Someone asked about someone asked about roll-ups. We're going to have a whole session on roll-ups because they are so much fun. So that is coming. And TL said, thoughts on relational tables and on formulas. We do have a past office hours that we did all on relational databases, but I don't know if there's something specific you're preferring to, because I feel like we could have a whole session just on relational tables and formulas. I mean, you had a couple in your finances, right, where you were sort of doing what's the 6-month amount based on the monthly amount and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I am actually looking at more ways to do it. I used to have a health database that brought in different information from. I used to have to explain it. I had a workout menu that was a separate database. It was just a very simple list. And then what I did is had a health database where I had some relational databases where I could bring in an activity, and then I could also bring in its time. 15 minutes of rowing,
Right.
and that really helped because I could see and tally up all of the times from the exercises during the day. So that one was really helpful. But again, I'm in a bit of an audit stage with the fitness side of stuff, so I probably look to bring it back. To be honest, it was quite helpful.
Ronan was clarifying. He said, I suppose as a follow-up, I've used Maria's system. It's more to do with dealing with this pile of tasks. My para notion is good to go. I just haven't settled on how I will use context, status, impact, effort, etc. So if you have a ton of videos to make, like 50 right now, how are you filtering them as quickly as possible? I'm looking for your end goal. Not sure if this question makes sense. I tried. I really did. I know for me, like context, status, impact, effort, like I condense those a little bit. So context, impact, effort, I kind of mix into one. And then I use, Kanban views you can do by status, whether it's in progress or whatever. But I don't know, Francesco, if you can relate to this sort of, how do you, when you've got like 50 different ideas, and how do you filter it to make sure that you're, I guess, prioritizing based on like, I know this one is high impact right now.
I mean, I guess I could have built some sort of extra property field that has, say, numbers, and I give it 1 to 10 to keep it simple. But I could do that based on even also how many people have voted for this. Could do.
It sounds like you have a finger on the pulse of kind of, you're in conversation with people, right? And you're kind of like, I'm hearing everyone talk about this, so it's a bit of gut, like this is what I'm hearing quite a bit, right? So you're not necessarily needing to give it a formula.
That's it. I think so. There's two things. I normally go off the amount of times I've heard it across a day, and then I'll make I'll be like, brilliant, like 3 or 4 people have said it. Someone's emailed me about it, and I've had it on different platforms. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on what type of person you are. And the second recommendation I have is normally people when they go into content creation, whether they're starting something or it for work, normally I recommend, like when I started the channel, Before I even started doing videos, I had 50 videos titled and not ready to go, but ready to be like, okay,
Pursue.
yeah, I've got a runway. I've got a runway of videos to start off of. And I think that could be where the filtering comes in handy. Because then you actually be like, okay, what do I start with? What are the core foundations? And you can build some sort of hierarchy around it. Because you may want to do it based on steps like basic, intermediate, advanced.
Right.
So you could have some sort of status behind it. Um,
Maybe even
but
monthly themes, right? If you're like, oh, March, we're talking about this, or there's like seasonality in the themes. Maybe it's like
yeah,
finances make sense around tax time. Let's do a video
that
around that stuff, right?
yeah, and yeah, I mean, even like thinking of as far in advance as possible, but um, yeah, I mean, also it's a combination of thinking as far advanced as possible, but keeping your finger on the pulse. So yeah, but yeah, it's you can do that. If I maybe to demonstrate, I could, for example, go and add a property and give it. You could give it a multi-select if you wanted to, and you could even pop an emoji in it. Say you could do like cold, like an ice cube, to represent
Yeah.
not that
Priority and
important, and I could title that one importance. Um, and then, for example, go on to this one and added the importance of fire.
ice cube.
Um,
Yeah, I like that.
oh, I forgot to create it. Fire, because it's very important to do. And this one could be, I don't know what's between fire uh, and cold, like water. App. I don't know. Um, and then, for example, you could go to add a view, go to boards, and go and create a new board called importance. And then you could, I'm assuming you could filter it down based on status. Um, that's not it. It's importance. And you could be like, okay, let's only get the hot ones done at the moment, and obviously
Yeah.
all the hot ones will pop up. But I guess if you wanted to add the other ones, there's probably a better way of doing it than this. And I could add in all of the types of importance. Um,
Yeah, for my tasks, I have a couple different views where it's like by day, by impact, by importance. And so I can kind of see like, okay, what am I in the mood for? I can kind of switch
yeah,
it. And as long as you've got those views kind of ready to go, you can kind of dive in and say like, okay, I need to get some of those high priority tasks done. Let's just do it today, right?
yeah, that's it.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
But
yeah,
if anybody ever needs any help with like assistance with content calendars or anything like that, they can drop me an email directly.
awesome.
So feel free to share that out after. But yeah, it's sort of about what works for you. The thing that I'd say about my Notion is whenever I'm with a productivity tool for say more than 2 years, I always find that I've got a downward spiral with it where I'll just look to minimize everything in that application until it becomes the most basic thing ever. I still use my task manager alongside Notion, and when I started using a task manager, I had these projects along the left hand side for absolutely everything. I may have had up to 20 different projects, and that could be anything from academic stuff to you know dates or something. I don't know, with my wife. So it slowly has now only become two projects, like work and personal.
Right.
So I always look to like just downsize until I am the most streamlined with the tool as possible. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, I definitely have like over engineered and then like, okay, got to scale it back and then figuring out like what is just enough for the way that I operate. And I think that's going to look very different for for
Yeah,
everyone.
that's it. Yeah.
Sack said, regarding reminders, I find there's no shortcut to add a reminder at today or at reminder next Thursday does not actually create a reminder. It creates a notification. And then you'd have to select drop down within the date to create the reminder. Is Notion really geared as a reminders app for this reason? For me, recurring tasks, I have a property called recurring. And so I have in my Kanban view, there's like a recurring list. And so every
Yeah.
week I always see the recurring. So it's like some of this stuff isn't built into Notion, but you kind of have to build the system yourself and it can function the way you want. But it does sometimes take a little bit of engineering to figure out, okay, what's the best way to do this in the way that I work?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's one really good way to get around the recurring issue. But I mean, that would be ideal when they add it.
Another question that popped up, is there a way to implement Gantt chart in Notion right now? No, not yet, but it is a feature that they are working on. I saw a couple sneak peek snippets there, so that is coming. Don't know when, but it's on its way. How could the system be adapted for more general project types? I'm a grad student, so doing a lot of research and long-term projects. That's a great question. So would you use something similar to your content calendar for like a studies calendar? Would you do something like that? Or how might you think of adapting this for lots of research and long-term projects?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think might have an example here. So I created this thing called Student Hub, like as an example for Ali's channel. So I made this is really it was a very basic mock-up, but there was this one called a planner. It probably added the dates in a long time ago. Yeah, there we go. So you can see here that this is what I'd use. So there would be three parts. Sorry, I'll explain this. Planner, which is sort of holistical viewing of organizing events, meetings, and journal. As sort of like a way to see ahead. Because I don't think a lot of students use calendars. At least that's my opinion from when I was a student. I was always asking people what apps they used, and a lot of them didn't. So I think a planner would be nice to use in Notion, like a calendar on its own. And then there's this coursework, which is for managing projects or upcoming deadlines, and lecture notes. So the coursework, actually, let's just go back to the planner. I'm just getting ahead of myself. So the planner is really for anything. It could be, for example, a trip to France that you've got planned. Not now, of course. Yoga, art classes, trial shifts at work. But breaking it down into different types of activities. And a lot of the time it's, normally play, relax, work, or study as a student. So that would be your sort of way to see ahead. Coursework is mainly like just seeing this in Kanban view. Like, I don't know what examples I used here. Draw Picasso. This can be for a bit of work that you've got on at the moment with the deadline here. And you can add all your topics here as well as a status. So keeping it really simple, and draft article for this module. And then finally, lecture notes. So again, really simple. Topic, lecture number, date of lecture, and the teacher, and then notes below. And you could obviously make that into a template here. So yeah, as a student, like I recommend that sort of process because that tends to solve the majority of situations. But again, I've seen a lot of students that would find benefit from the weekly planner that the Notion team have made.
And I think there's like a thesis planner too that's baked into the templates, isn't there? I thought there was
let's find it. Education. Yeah, these are all gold. Like these are just ways to just speed up.
Thesis planning, right?
Yeah. There. I was looking at an alphabetical order. Yeah, this is even more advanced and even more ideal. My one was just basic from building from the beginning.
No, but I think it's great. Like it's effective. It works. It's like it's simple enough that
Yeah,
anyone can pick it up and work with it, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that weekly agenda can be a great one for them if they wanted to say plan their week ahead.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not too heavy. Yeah, no, and now that Notion is more accessible for students and teachers, it makes it good for them to get organized. So perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Maddie. And then someone asked, is there a record of this office hour session? Yes, these are always recorded. You can always come back to the same link, and Notion does upload these to their YouTube channel, so you can always access these. And so, yeah, Francesco, if people want to, what's the best way to get in touch with you? So we're not bombarding you with email, but that if people kind of wanted access to your templates, do you want to give that to us? Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll probably send you the templates. I need to get them ready, to be honest, properly.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
I'll put them out as a video or something like that on YouTube. But at the same time, I'll send them to you when they're ready.
Cool.
But yeah, like they can email me. They can come on YouTube and comment, and naturally find me there. So I'll be honored to have them come over.
Awesome. TL asked, question for the main hub links. How do you add images? The main hub links.
Yeah, so I think she means this area, right? Main hub?
Is that the one you mean? The Basecamp images? I assume those are either cover images or there's an image inside.
Yeah. Cover, yeah. So
any database item or even any page can have a cover image, right?
That's a gem. Yeah, I just chose card cover, and I went with a very oriental theme, keeping it really simple. So they're obviously from, if you don't know, they're from the gallery archive, the Met Museum Japanese prints. But you could probably go crazy with the Unsplash integration. So
exactly, it's dangerous. Yeah. And I find too, if you work with a team and you're trying to get buy-in from your team, that's one thing I recommend is to kind of brand it first, right? When you're bringing on team members, to just kind of make it feel like the brand, and that people get kind of like, ooh, exciting.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And like, if you want to sell it, emojis as well, like it's a big love. So
amazing how something so simple has such an impact.
Yeah, it creates just this sort of natural, warm relationship, doesn't it? So it's great.
Totally. I love it. I think it's a lot of your examples were very timely with the prepping and that sort of thing. So
yeah.
Very relevant.
Torren put, is there any plans for the West Country meetup? Not at the moment.
Not yet. Coronavirus.
But the thing is, I was planning to do it, and then this all started. So we'll get together with Jonathan, Torren, a couple of others in this very niche part of the UK.
Yeah, it's really too bad. I mean, we were definitely hoping to organize a number of local and in-person meetups and workshops with Notion, but we're kind of putting that on hold for a bit while we figure out what's going to happen with things. So
yeah, I can see there being a lot of virtual events, so it's going to be good in that sense.
Something to look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
If there's any other questions, pop them in the chat. And Francesco, if there's anything else that you want to chat about, or like what's coming up next for you? Where's your kind of big, whether it's upcoming projects or an upcoming video that you're excited about? What's coming up for you? Other than baby, of course.
Other than baby, yeah, I was just like to say. Apart from that, like I'm going to take a long paternity leave, so
nice.
I'm looking to do more like documentary style videos to try and like cover, because I'm really nerdy. I like the history of productivity apps, which is the most niche thing ever.
I love it.
So I'm going to sort of talk, hopefully make a few sort of mini docs, but not in-person docs now.
Yeah. But, what will that mean for your channel with the baby? And you said you're taking a long paternity leave. Like, how much, I guess, content did you kind of like pre-plan and pre-create a bunch of content so you can kind of step back and things kind of keep going, or what does that look like?
So I've got a lot of those videos that you saw were more static. they were backlogged videos. So I'm gonna start making maybe a backlog of about 15 to 20 videos so that I can post 3 a week during the paternity whilst enjoying time with the baby. So I don't have to do any work. I can just sort of press live,
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, it's weird. Like, I just want to, I've heard from so many people, when you do like it, in a podcast, or you just talk to people online, you end up like finding out their advice. And like for me, like the last couple of weeks, all the sort of the dads have been saying, enjoy it, just spend as much time as possible, like you won't get it back. And
Yeah.
I've just been trying to like see if I can push to 2 months, and see if I can enjoy that fully, which is something I should. But I haven't really taken a break from YouTube for like 4.5 years or 5 years.
Wow.
So, and that's been like at least 2 videos a week. So,
Wow.
I want to take a break.
That is
'Cause,
no small feat.
yeah, I need a bit of a break, It'll probably
Yeah,
help the creative process as well. So,
absolutely. Well
yeah.
earned. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I
That's
mean,
amazing.
I'm probably on my time off. I've got to catch up on some of your videos. So,
No, yours is like, don't
no,
overcomplicate it. It works. It's good.
yeah, but I think if I combine your concept of weekly planning with baby organizing, that could make
Right.
an amazing template. So I'll
We
give it
can
a go.
combine forces, come up with the
Yeah,
ultimate.
yeah.
Oh,
Or I'll just email you and say, can you build me this template?
yes. Yes, I'm sure we could do
Yeah,
something for
that'd
sure.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Tab was saying, congratulations, Francesco. Your channel is the one that introduced me to Notion, and that's how my Notion journey started. Now you can make a new Notion page dedicated to parenting. Give me that baby
Yeah.
planning template. Yeah, there you go. Add
Yeah.
that to your list of requests.
That's it.
And one thing I've been doing is like the pay what you can template. So if people want it, like they can pay $5 for something, or they can
Oh,
choose
yeah,
if they
yeah.
want it, and that way, if people find it valuable, they're at least kind of contributing something to the time that you put it together. Or you could do it for free if you're so inclined. But I could see
Yeah.
baking in some of those checklists, the prepping, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
like that, what Aftab said is like, right, it could be quite helpful to have like a wiki for new parents. Maybe I'll put together some stuff I'm learning. Like, I've just got loads of books at the moment. So putting in a Notion page would be wicked. So
Yeah. Curious
yeah.
what books you're reading to help you prepare.
There was one called it's a numbers book. There's one called The Expectant Dad's Handbook,
Yeah.
which is good. It says what it does on the tin, or does what it says on the tin. And then there's another one called, it's about Crib Sheet, it's called, and it's about numbers breakdowns of like birth and babies and stuff. So it like gives
Wow.
you data. It's a really nerdy, but
It's
it's perfect.
exciting. Yeah, it's perfect for you.
Yeah, great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know we're sort of at the hour, and so Francesco, whenever you're ready with those templates, definitely send them over. We'll add a
Yeah.
call to action to the bottom of this session. We'll also send out an email so that any of the links or things that we referenced in here, we can send out to anybody that showed up. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Francesco, super exciting. I'm excited to see how your space evolves. Excited as always to kind of check out your YouTube videos, the Keep Productive channel as well. Maybe I'll add a link to that so people can check out other videos as well. You've got tons of Notion and other app videos for people to check out. So what's the best place for people to find you? Where are you most active? Is it Twitter, YouTube?
Twitter, probably, yeah.
Twitter, yeah.
At Francesco D_ALES. That's a painful one. But
I'll link
yeah,
it in the chat.
yeah, that's when I'll just talk randomly about Notion as well. So that'd be amazing. But Marie, thanks for inviting me along, and your community is amazing. So thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll have you again in the future. So thank you so much. And everybody stay safe. Try not to touch your face. Stay
Yeah, do
healthy.
that. Wash your hands. Just
Awesome.
all do good stuff.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.